Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Two Saints podcast show with myself, Mark C, and my co-host, Mark H. How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, everything's going well, mate. Obviously relieved after last Saturday evening. 3 points on the board. We're off and running.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's hope we can follow that up with a win against West Brom on Sunday.
Absolutely right. 100%. So coming up,
everybody's keeping safe and well.
Absolutely, totally echo those sentiments. The Two Saints podcast show is now available via Spotify, SoundCloud, Overcast, Acast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podbean, or via our Facebook page, The Two Saints Show, and our YouTube channel, The Two Saints Podcast Show. You can also contact us via our email address, The Two Saints Podcast Show @outlook.com. So coming up for you in the first half of the show today, we have the Two Saints review of Burnley 0, Saints 1, Saints Club news, and then we'll be moving on to the second half of the show after that. So, going back to the start, Two Saints review of Burnley 0, Saints 1 mark. Sean Dyche said he needs players after the Saints loss. Ralph Hasenhüttl said it was a deserved win. Ralph Hasenhüttl also declared Oriol Romeu the boss of the midfield, and Yannick Vestergaard said we can build from here, and Danny Ings informed Danny Ings hopes that the win at Burnley can kickstart the season. So Sean Dyche reckons he needs players, something Ralph said that Saints needed prior to the Burnley win mark. Nothing's obviously changed on that one. We still haven't got anybody in. We're hoping they will by Monday. Get your fingers out, Saint. But the game itself, what did you make of it? Good result. Not necessarily a great performance second half though.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is it wasn't one for the purists.
Yeah.
It was turgid, battling, industrious, all the words that sort of signifies that it wasn't a great game of football, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Thankfully we scored early on. Good ball from Kyle Walker-Peters to Shea Adams. Shea Adams done well in what I would say a tight situation, definitely, in terms of crossing the ball. Got it across to Danny Ings, and the finish was, as you would expect from Danny Ings. Overall, I mean, my man of the match was Bednarek. Yeah. You got to give mentions to Vestergaard, Ings, and Romeu for me. It's a strange one, Mark, but Vestergaard, it's funny because Vestergaard and even Romeu to a point, these are the kind of games that, for me, they should revel in, okay? Yeah, you know what you're going to get with Burnley. It's all long ball, punted up to the big man, in this case, Chris Wood, the New Zealand international. Almost got caught out. Obviously, there was the incident where Chris Wood managed to put the ball in the back of the net. Thankfully, it was offside, but it was from an under-hip pass by Ryan Bertram, which
he got away with one there, right?
A little bit too casual. But what did make me laugh, and I'll come on to that in a minute. The other thing I've got to say is I've got to say to Ralph, if you're getting pressure, right, or you're feeling any kind of pressure, and you're wanting a bit of relief, right? My suggestion to him would be, fair enough if you're going to start Michael Omofemi, but late in a game, don't bring him on as sub if you're looking for relief for your back line, because on Saturday he came on, he was playing statues as if he was in Madame Tussauds.
You're not wrong there.
And there was one highlighted moment. I think it was about 5-6 minutes to go. Right, he got the ball and he was one side of the 18-yard box, and he basically decided to hit the ball across the 18-yard box. And you're thinking, all you got to do in that instance, even if it's coming straight back at you, but all you need to do is to punt that ball up the pitch. Or even failing that, if you want to try and find touch further up the pitch, that's acceptable as well. But what you don't do is, you don't volley it across the 18-yard box and then put pressure on your defenders. But just going back to one point I want to make, and then I'll zip, right? I mean, it was a good enough performance. Ralph was happy because obviously, the last time we went up there, it was a disaster, 3-0. Should have been 4-0. I mean, Ashley Barnes ran riot, and he had a goal ruled out for a foul on Jack Stevens. It was never a foul last season. But anyway, so in terms of compared to last season, it was job done. And that's the thing you've got to say about it. Job done. Ralph celebrated like we'd won the FA Cup again.
He did.
There must be pressure building up.
Oh, 100%.
The thing is 2 games in. I know it's only 2 games in, but there's no points on the board, nothing to show for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the pressure's probably. I mean, who would want to be a manager?
Exactly that.
Just going back to something that did make me laugh, right? Sean Dyche was getting totally frustrated, right, with Ryan Bertram's game management from throw-ins, right? Because we, late on in the game, we kept getting these throw-ins, and you could see that, Ryan was deliberately sort of trying to run down the clock a little bit, not rushing it and all the rest of it. And you could see behind him that Sean Dyche was like, get on with it, you know what I mean? And Ryan Bertram was laughing. He was laughing. He was actually, you could see him laughing. You know what I mean? And you just sat there thinking, oh, right, okay. But no, I mean, the thing is, mate, it was what was needed on Saturday.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
And everybody that started, they all did their jobs. The only thing I would like to see is, it looks like Ginepino's a little bit back to his old self. I hope I'm not speaking too soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
But what I would like to see is for him to take players, especially some of these slow fullbacks. I mean, Burnley has. I'm trying to think of what his name is, but he wears the number 2. He's the right back, David Bardsley.
Yeah.
Right. David Bardsley must be about 36 years old, right? And I never seen Djenepo go past them once. And you're sort of sat there and you're going, "Oh, Musa, this is yours, mate. This is this is an old man here. Come on."
That was screaming run at him, because that to me was screaming 2 yellow cards easy. 2 yellow cards easy. Run at Bardsley, he's going to bring you down because he ain't quick enough to keep up with you. Run at him. Seriously, absolutely right there. The thing is with Michael Obafemi when he comes on as well, you look at the runs Danny Ings makes. Michael, take a leaf out of Danny's book. Do the runs that Danny Ings makes. And if you want to know how to play the game, when you're coming on, your team are under pressure, instead of volleying it across the 18-yard flipping box, get up the other end and use your bloody pace for what it's good to be used for. I
don't know what you think, Mark, but I always think when he starts games, different player, right? When he gets brought on and it's kind of, I would say a pressure situation because you're looking for relief from your striker.
Yep.
I always turn around and think to myself, he isn't as interested when he comes on.
No, the thing is, you look at Shane Long.
Games.
You look at Shane Long when he comes on. Shane Long, when he comes on in the last, say, 5-10 minutes when the team are under pressure, he sits on the shoulder of the last defender and he's looking for that ball over the top or that ball into the channel that he can run onto, which puts pressure on the defenders and takes the pressure off our back four. That's what Shane Long does. Michael Obafemi, I've never seen him do that in any game he's played for Saints, even when he started a game. He doesn't make the same runs as Ings does. He doesn't make the same runs as Long does. And maybe that's inexperience, but you can coach that. Michael Obafemi's got a searing pace. The guy looks shattered after 5 minutes every single game he plays in. He stands still for 20 minutes. He does one little run after 5 minutes and he's blowing like a blooming old trooper. He's blowing like a trooper after 5 minutes. The guy is clearly up fit for whatever reason. His fitness is clearly an issue. Yeah. But he's got that pace and he never uses it. And when he does use it, he's done after 5 minutes.
Yeah. No,
I've never seen him huffing and puffing as much as he does.
Some of that, I've got to be honest and say some of that for me is valid. But I always get the impression that he's much more interested when he starts games than when he comes on. Yeah. When he comes on, he looks like he's lost in a forest.
Great respect to people that say, start Obafemi, he scored against Man United. So did Charlie Austin. It doesn't mean anything. He scored against Man United, so what? He scored against Chelsea. One swallow doesn't make time, does it?
Get back to the game. Just in the summing up, Mark, I would just say that it was job well done, and what a relief there was in this household. I tell you, mate, I was like a cat in a hot tin roof, right? I managed to watch the second half on a stream, right? And I was listening to Dave. Dave Marrington, Mr. Black and White TV, hobnail boots and all that. and the thing is they weren't improving the mood by the way they were talking, but obviously, we were under a certain amount of pressure, I suppose, but it was a relief to hear that final whistle, I can tell you.
Oh, you and me both. I was really relieved on that one, actually. So what I'll do is I'll go through a few of these. In summary, just summing up, I'll just go through some of the direct quotes from the managers, those involved in the game. Sean Dyche said that obviously they need players. His exact words were, the chairman knows what's required, action. We need players. It's a challenge, though. Here it always has been, Dyche told Sky Sports. We've got 2 experienced defenders on the bench, and that's it. We're relying on what we've got. It's a challenge, but we will have players back fit. He also spoke to BBC Sport and added, we've been very unfortunate with injuries. We're stretched. The players are giving me everything. I've mentioned it a number of months now. It's down to the chairman and board to make those decisions. So that's obviously what Sean Dyche had to say about it. Ralph Hasenhüttl said it was a deserved win, and the direct quote from Ralph was, it's difficult to play here. I think we had a very good performance tonight, especially against the ball and out of possession. Certainly agree with that. We defended a lot, but deserved to win. We still can do better. The pressure was getting up and up in the second half. The goal was absolutely fantastic play. Deep run from Shea was fantastic. Pass back in the area. Great goal from us. Work against the ball from strikers was amazing, and that was absolutely needed. This time we really tried to play more, keep the ball on the ground and stay protected in our goal. I think I only saw one chance for them. We did it much better the last time we were here. Couldn't concede late because we deserved to get the 3 points today. Certainly agree with that from Ralph. He also went on to say that he felt Oriol Romeu was the boss of the midfield. Can't argue with that. Absolutely was. One of those games that really, really suited him. He said we saw 2 different players, I think, from last week and this week, and I think he's right there as well. Last week he was a disaster. He knows he was too hectic here, there, and everywhere. On Saturday he was calm on the ball, always made the right decisions, and not losing the ball once, which is great. And he did boss the midfield. To be fair, it's nice to see that, Mark, isn't it? Romeu is best, I would say, probably.
He is. I mean, I have to say, as you know, he's one of my favourite players.
Yeah.
Because I like him as a human being, as well as a footballer.
Right.
And, we've pinpointed loads of times with him, Mark. There's times whenever, you look at certain games and you think, or certain sides, and you think he's not suited being played today.
Exactly.
But a game like away at Burnley and teams like that, that's Oriol Romeu's game. It's the same with Vestergaard.
Yeah, and Vestergaard actually said, I'm happy with the win. It was a hard-fought one. I think we did well as a unit defending the threats Burnley produced. I think we've got room for improvement and could control the game better. We could have killed the game during the second half when spaces opened up for counter-attacks. All in all, I'm happy with the win. It's an important one starting a new season, and now we can build from here. It's important everyone joins in when you see Ingsy, who's played his heart out for all the 90 minutes, blocking crosses towards the ends. That's what you need. Yes, Michael Obafemi, take note. When that happens, your job is that much easier to defend the box when crosses are played under pressure. When people are feeling the breath down their necks all the time, it's more difficult to put in a perfect ball. This helps us massively. It's a team performance. Happy with my performance of late, especially post-lockdown. I think I'm in a good place. I enjoy playing for this team. Hopefully there'll be many more appearances in the future. Absolutely, can't echo those sentiments anymore. It's nice to see Yannick actually finding his groove. And as you say, Mark, it was a game that suited him to a T, wasn't it? And all I would say is, I'm pretty convinced that both him and Bednarek went home with a headache each. The amount of times they were nodding the ball away.
At the ball. Yeah, no. I mean, what I was going to say was, I kind of echo those thoughts because I do, I know that I give him a hard time a lot of the time, Queen Mary and all that. The thing about Vestergaard is you don't play him whenever the opposition have quick players that can get him behind you, right? Because he gets left dead for space. As long as the ball's played in front of him, right, not a problem. Okay, if you got teams that are going to bombard your box with high balls, that should suit him as well. But it's just when I worry about playing him when teams are can knock the ball forward and get him behind, because as soon as he's turned, our players get him behind. He's left for dead because there's no pace there. But it's good to see that he can come in as a squad player. Because he must know that there's certain games he's going to play, like Oriol Romeu, and then there's certain games he's not going to play.
But the thing is, another way of looking at it is maybe Ralph's actually learning about certain players from last season, and maybe himself he's actually realised certain things and thinking, well, there are certain games where I've got the right personnel to play in a certain way, like, for example, against Burnley, and maybe we'll see him using that as a tactic later in the season against some of the other teams that are similar to Burnley in style. The teams that we struggled against last season, maybe.
Yeah, he should do, mate, because it's like the old proverb, it's all about horses for courses.
Absolutely right, 100%.
And Vestergaard falls into that category, as does Romeu,
Oh, yeah, absolutely right. Well, that brings to an end our review of Saints 0, Burnley 1. Saints 1, Burnley 0, sorry. Just to get the score on. Saints did actually win that 1-0, everyone. So Saints 1, Burnley 0. So that ends our review of that. We're going to take a very brief break, and when we come back from that, we're going to do Saints Club News.
Every Thursday at midday to 2 p.m, join Mark C and Mark H for the Two Saints Show. Follow Southampton with pre-match previews and updates from St Mary's, live on Fiesta 95 FM every Thursday with the two Marks. Be there or be rectangular.
Right, welcome back, everybody. So, Saints Club News. Premier League 2 report, Saints B team. So, Saints 2, West Ham 2. And also the under-18s report, Chelsea 1, Saints 1. So, Mark, the B team, still struggling a little bit, I think it's probably fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm right in saying that they've won one, which was their first one.
Yeah.
They've lost one, and they've obviously drew this one.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, what can you say about the B team at the minute? I think it's just important that I don't think we're necessarily going to see us pushing for any titles this season. Yep. I just think it's more a case of, if we finish sort of mid-table. I mean, I'm not sure if we got relegated last season or not. But I know we were in the relegation places when it stopped, but I don't know whether they actually confirmed, that they were. I never read anything that said that they were confirmed to be relegated, to the next division, or whether everything was just starting again, But I'm not expecting the B team necessarily to do anything fantastic, but I do think that with the rebranding, there is now a bit more of an obvious pathway into the first team squad. But, my proviso on that one, Mark, has always been I've no problems with people being promoted from the B team or wherever, right? But they have to be good enough to step into that first team squad. They have to be good enough.
The Warriors as well from the B team. The goalkeeper in question for the B team was actually Angus Gunn.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Angus Gunn between the sticks for them for the B team, as opposed to obviously Harry Lewis.
Yeah,
so
and I think that's partly why we've had the rebrand, because at times, surely, whether it's people coming back from injury from the first team squad or whatever, but surely it's about giving those players that are in and around that squad, game time when they're not playing in the first team.
Yeah, I mean, the good news was that Dan Lindelöf actually got a brace. It was his first of the season, followed by his second quite closely behind. So he's got off the mark in style. Obviously not scored yet, but two in one game. So it's quite a nice start for him. Josh Sims obviously back from injury, so that's a positive as well, I think people would probably say. Angus Gunn will be a little bit annoyed that he's let a couple in, having obviously taken the place of Harry Lewis between the sticks. But fairly strong team. I mean, Christoph Klar and David Agbong-Tahame were both playing. Tom O'Connor at left back. Kane Ramsey went back to his usual right back role. So Kane Ramsey back in the fold, playing his normal slot. So I guess Pete would see that as good news as well, Mark. But I mean, we're not expecting huge things, but as you say, it's a bit of a ground for bringing players in that have been injured, getting them back up to speed for the first team action, and trying to bring the other players through. So hopefully they'll find a good balance, even if results aren't great.
The only other thing that I want to say, Mark, is like, Josh Sims has started the season really, really well.
Yeah.
Up until the last, what was their third game there, he'd scored in the last 2 previous games.
Yep.
And I thought maybe it might warrant him pushing for the gap, back on the bench for the first team. But I don't know. I do wonder whether Josh Sims is Ralph's kind of player, because you sort of think to yourself, well, I'm playing well enough within the B team, and yet that doesn't seem to qualify as getting on the bench on a Saturday. But I suppose it's watch this space, mate.
Absolutely right. And the under-18s won all at Chelsea, which is, to be fair, a pretty good result, actually. It's a pretty strong Chelsea team, isn't it? And they've got, obviously, a large area around Battersea and that, where they've got a lot of talent in that local area, haven't they, that you were alluding to when we were on the broadcast version of the show.
Well, they have a train. So Chelsea's main training centre for their youngsters is basically at Battersea Park. It's a massive complex at Battersea Park that they've got. But having said all of that, Mark, I mean, all I'll say is it was an excellent performance from the youngsters, given that they started the season with 2 losses. So to get a point on the board against one of the strongest academies in the country, because I mean, let's be honest, Saints these days, they pick up, academy players through the exit trials from Arsenal, Man City and Chelsea, who probably have the most youngsters going through their academies, that's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so for the under-18s to draw 1-1 against Chelsea, it's a really good result in my eyes.
Absolutely right. Right, and we move on to the women, who've been doing great guns, to be fair. So Southampton women beat Buckland 5-1. It was an Ella Pusey hat-trick. They then followed that up with their second game, which was another 5-1 win. So 2 back-to-back 5-1 wins. So the first game with an Ella Pusey hat-trick, Marianne Spacey Cow said that the first game against Buckland was a really good battle. They always have really good games against them. And despite the fact that they ran out 5-1 winners, she still wasn't satisfied. She still said there was room for improvement. They then... and she also said hard work is paying off. And obviously, as I said, they followed the Buckland game up with another win, 5-1 over their local rivals, which are also Southampton women, but not affiliated with the football club. So Southampton Women's Football Club, Southampton Women played Southampton Football Club's women's team, and they actually went down 5-0.
6-0.
6-0. 6-0.
It wasn't 2 5-1s, people. It was 5 Scotland Athletic and 6-0 against the other local.
Yeah, so following on from the 2 successive 5-1s that Southampton women had, they followed up with a 6-0 win over their local rivals, Southampton women. Okay, just to clarify that. So hell of a groove of form there in Mark, and 2 Ella Pusey hat tricks amongst those 3 games. So
I mean,
they're going great guns, aren't they? Ralph, get the lads down there and have a look at what they're doing.
She is red hot, but I just want to talk about
the outstanding player for Millie Mott.
Yeah, Millie Mott. Absolutely. I mean, she must be the youngest person in the side, in the squad, and fearless, absolutely fearless. I mean, Danny Ings, this girl obviously models herself because she is up and down, up and down, up and down, and
highlight the Buckland game.
I've got to say, Mark, I sat there on Sunday, and it was free because obviously Virgin Media, but it was a joy. I mean, I'm really regretting the fact that we can't go and watch football just to go and see the women play, because I'd love to go and watch them play, especially, at the minute and following on even from last season. But it was a delight to sort of be able to sit and watch them. And I missed one of the goals. I missed the third goal that Saints scored against Buckland Athletic on the Sunday, because they must have scored straight from the kickoff, because I was in making a cup of tea and I got back in and lo and behold, had scored the third one.
That's impressive.
There was one goal particularly that she scored in her hat-trick, and it was sensational goal. Absolutely. I mean, any Premier League striker would have been proud of that goal from young Dustin, you know.
The highlight was Millie Mott in the Buckland game, was it? Millie Mott actually defended at one end, so cleared the ball at one end, straight up the other end, and put a stonking cross in, and actually they actually scored from it, which was just phenomenal. And that was Millie Mott all over, wasn't it? Up and down like a yo-yo. But brilliant. Yeah, I think it wouldn't hurt for Ralph to get some of the Saints strikers down there, or Saints players down there, to the men's players, to see how the women are doing. They're slightly showing them the way, aren't they?
If you want to know about commitment and energy and everything else, it was there in abundance, you know.
Yeah, and you want to see any good football, everybody. If you get the opportunity to see the women at any point, please do, because they're fantastic. They really are, and on a par with the men's team, definitely.
Yeah, I mean the technique, man. It's the technique that's really surprising about it. Really,
Sorry about that, everybody. I've just had my dog who's just run in the bedroom and jumped on me, so I do apologise for that slight interruption there. Carry on, Mark.
But so all I would say is it's great news as well that all the season tickets have sold out, even though they can't get in currently at the minute. But as I say, it's all looking well for the rest of the season for the women. Definitely. And I know that Marianne Spacey, very, very determined, very driven person, and perfection obviously is the name of the game with her,
Yeah, it's good to see as well that none of the negatives from last season have affected her moving forward this season. So that's good.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point, Mark, because it could have been so easy for the women, after basically running away with the league, and they were in the position of going up.
Yeah.
And once you're told everything's null and void from that season, it must have been absolutely soul destroying. But obviously they've come back with added determination, to turn around, and they'll probably end up putting the league to bed fairly quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's probably in an attempt to let's try and just get this done and dusted with and get on, to the next level, whatever. But some of the football, mate, is just it's a pleasure to sit and watch it. Like I say, technique-wise, please, if you haven't sat down and watched the women, please do the next time that it's, available for free to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, definitely. Right, moving on from there. Ralph Hasenhüttl has made clear the importance of Danny Ings to Southampton and reiterated, "We will have Danny for a very long time with us." Asked again about the frontman's future, he netted the winner at Turf Moor, obviously. Hasenhüttl said, "I've already given a very, very clear answer to this question. We will have Danny for a very long time with us, and that is all I can say. We must always pay attention. We are more than only Danny Ings," he added. "He scores for us, but guys are working for him. Shay Adams made a fantastic assist. The guys are working hard. He's working hard for the team. He's a very important player for us." Ralph has reiterated it time and time again recently since the start of the window. Danny Ings is not going anywhere. Danny Ings is happy where he is. So let's all stop having a little bit of a meltdown about it, shall we?
Yeah, I mean, all I would say about that is I just reiterating what was said from last week in the sense that, I know that the board's probably under pressure to give him this new contract.
Yeah.
Right. But I, for me, Mark, really at the end of the day, I hope it doesn't necessarily come down to money. I hope it does, because there should be greater contentment with Danny Ings at the minute. You look at his career, he obviously started out Bournemouth and then obviously ended up at Burnley. He's basically in the same form that he was with Burnley with us.
Absolutely right.
Basically, it was the injury. I mean, he did get a couple of injuries at Burnley and then obviously injuries at Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I just look at it and I think to myself, he's playing for his hometown club. He's injury-free. He's enjoying his football. He's scoring. He's getting England recognition because him and James Ward-Prowse, I know I said on the radio yesterday, I was worried for him because obviously Calvert-Lewin's had a call up, but both him and James Ward-Prowse are in the England squad for the upcoming internationals, which again is good news for him.
Definitely.
As I say, so there's no reason why he wouldn't sign a new contract. I just hope that he's not too greedy or the club's not too stingy.
Yeah.
And they manage to sort of meet somewhere in the middle because Danny's in the form of his life at the minute.
Absolutely right. Definitely is. Right, we'll move on from there. Young defender Tom O'Connor has today rejoined League One side Gillingham on loan for the remainder of the 2020-21 season. He actually rejoined. That was actually yesterday. My apologies. So yeah, Tom O'Connor's gone back to Gillingham, Mark.
Not
a massive surprise, I guess.
Not necessarily that surprising, considering he was there last season. I mean, normally, Tom O'Connor captains the B team. What is the B team now? And at the end of the day, it's a good move for him because, theoretically, personally, I don't see him breaking through into the first team anytime soon. So any sort of first team experience he's getting, even if it's at lower level football, it's a good thing for him, and hopefully it will help his development and help him to grow.
Absolutely right. And talking of development and growth, Stuart Armstrong is one of 5 Saints players who've received international call-ups ahead of next week's fixtures. So Stuart Armstrong's been called up by Scotland, obviously. Yannick Vestergaard has been called up for Denmark. Shane Long has been called up for the Republic of Ireland. Jan Bednarek's been called up for Poland. And Moussa Djenepo is back on the international scene with Mali. So there we go, 5 players on international duty. Make that 7 because obviously Ings and Ward-Prowse have both had their places confirmed in the England squad as well. So that's actually 7 players, Mark, with international call-ups for Saints. It's not bad, is it?
No, I mean, it's fantastic sort of kudos for the club because I'm sure the club's loving it.
Definitely.
As a supporter, trepidation for me, Mark. I've got to say, I enjoyed my international football, but I worry about Saints players being away on international duty because obviously the biggest problem we have is compared to most teams, we have a small pool of players, right? You get 1 or 2 injuries, which was even shown, because the last international break, Stuart Armstrong came back with a quad injury, didn't he? Yeah, and he was missed, for the opening couple of games.
Definitely.
And basically, we can't afford to have people injured. So
that's right.
As a Saints fan, you've always got an eye on everything during the international break and just hoping that everybody comes back fit and healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And this season, it's going to be more relevant than others because already we're seeing people getting injured early season, and that's because of the amount of games that people are having to play early doors.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I mean, as you say, totally echo what you've said, really. Fantastic kudos for the club. And the only concern is whether our players get injured when they're away. And obviously, when the transfer windows are open, whether or not they're getting tapped up by other clubs. That's always
There is one other slight thing I want to say, Mark.
Yep.
Is I wouldn't have had international football.
No, I agree with that as well.
Till the summer. I wouldn't, maybe March, start of March, but I just think it's unnecessary risk, people having to travel round the globe for international fixtures. I really do.
Sure. I mean, the thing is, when there are no fans at games, I mean, this is the thing, these international games are going on without any fans present. For me, it's just an unnecessary situation. I agree with you. It's unnecessary travel. It's an unnecessary risk. So I would agree with you. I'm a little bit baffled they're doing it, but there we go. So anyway, that brings us to the end of that section today as well. So what we'll do is take a very brief break and we'll be back after that with the second half of today's show. Other football news, which is transfers, etc. So we'll be back with those after this short break.
It's the Two Marks, C&H, on the Two Saints Show, Fiesta 95 FM.
Right, welcome back, everybody. So, other football news, and this is transfer links for Premier League clubs. Aston Villa signed Barkley from Chelsea on loan. Westwood signs new Burnley deal. Fulham signed winger Lookman on loan. Leeds close in on Bayern's Cuisant. Leicester's Fofana offer accepted. Man City signed Benfica defender Diaz. Cody signs new 5-year Wolves deal, and a quite amusing story at the end of that about Eric Dyer. And following on from that, we'll have 3 lower league links. Right, so starting with Ross Barkley on loan, Mark. Overrated? Have Saints missed a chance with this player, or is he just too expensive?
It's down to the wages, mate. We don't pay big wages.
We don't pay anything.
Villa, you know, at the end of the day, yes, we're the established Premier League club, as people like to say. But, you know, Aston Villa, A, are the biggest club in the Midlands, and B, have owner that is prepared to pay the money. And unfortunately, you know, at the helm at the minute, we don't have that. The people that are running the club are doing the best that they can, but it's under very difficult circumstances.
Right.
You know, I recognise that to a degree. But slightly frustrating. But, you know, as I say, we would be after the likes of Ross Barkley. It's the same thing as Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You know, we're not after players like that. You know, we're after players that are affordable.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of Ruben Loftus-Cheek and that sort of player. They're kind of House of Fraser. Saints are shopping at Primark, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not sure about that analogy, but yeah, I mean, Primark makes it sound really bad. But anyway, just on that deal. So he's gone on loan to Villa. I mean, if you're a Villa fan, you're purring at the prospect, aren't you? I mean,
definitely. Oh, look at that midfield: Barkley, Grealish,
Barkley, you know, John McGinn, and Jack Grealish. I mean, you know, you must be looking forward a little bit to the rest of the season.
Yeah. It's not a bad trio, is it?
And you'd be disappointed that you're not in the stadium able to watch. But, you know, hopefully it'll work out to be a good signing for Aston Villa. Or like us, you'll be hoping not, you know, being Saints fans. But, you know, good luck to them. Yeah. You know, obviously they're paying the money.
Yep.
And, you know, we'll just wait and see what an impact he has for Villa.
Yeah. And also, good news for Burnley. Ashley Westwood signs a new three-year deal with Burnley. Typical Burnley player. So Sean Dyche should be happy that he's still got him for another 3 years. Burnley fans will be happy they've got him for another 3 years. And, you know, he's got a specific type of player he signs at Burnley, hasn't he? And Ashley Westwood sort of fits that mould perfectly. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the thing, you know, we've discussed this before. I think, you know, if you're going to be a Burnley player, you have to have had a little bit of mileage on the clock in terms of Premier League experience, or you know, at least be an experienced player. But 100% commitment, 100%, you know, basically, you know, running efforts, everything, you know, everything involved. If you're 100% there, you know, you're a Burnley player. You know, you got Peters who joined there from Stoke. You know, he has relevant Premier League experience. Jack Cork's another one. Exactly. You know, you know, and the thing is that's the sort of player that they go for. I mean, we had the lad Dale Stevens join last week from Brighton, and you know, he's been around. He's a well-experienced professional. Correct. You know, but it's about getting 100% out of everybody and everybody being committed. And the thing that they style themselves on really is having a good work ethic and a good team spirit. Yeah. And, you know, hopefully, if you're a Burnley fan, hopefully that'll get them through this season. Although I think this season it might be a little bit touch and go, because I'm still not convinced that the manager and the board there are both on the same hymn sheet. Yeah. Well, and let's not kid ourselves as well. Their season could be as difficult. So, I mean, if Saints don't manage to recruit before the end of the transfer window, their season could be as difficult as Burnley's, couldn't it? And both teams could be in serious trouble.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, moving on from there, I'm kind of thinking Saints have missed a trick here as well, Mark, actually, given that this guy's been coached by Ralph Hasenhüttl previously. Fulham have signed winger Ademola Lookman on season-long loan from German club RB Leipzig.
Right.
He went to Leipzig for quite a big fee, didn't he, as well?
I've got to clear this one up with you. Lookman was not at RB Leipzig when Ralph was there.
No, he was coached by him previously, I believe, though, wasn't he?
No, but Ralph had left by that stage. But he was. But anyway, apart from that, the thing is this one has kind of baffled me. It's a little bit like Ross Barkley. I mean, Ross Barkley going to Villa baffled me a little bit as well, because it's not like Ross Barkley wasn't playing towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And you sort of sit there and you think, you lay out all that money, and then all of a sudden after about I'm not even sure how long he's been at Chelsea. I think it's only maybe a season, and all of a sudden he's being loaned out to Villa. And here we have Lookman. Lookman joined RB Leipzig, at the start of last season.
Yep.
Right? He did play a bit for them last season, and then all of a sudden they've decided, we're going to loan him out to Fulham. To me, it's a good sign. Whether Fulham stay up or not, obviously, again for them it's touch and go. But in the light of it, you would say a good sign. And I mean, let's be honest about it. When Lookman was at Everton, Saints were interested. They were genuinely interested in him.
That's right.
And I think if you're a Fulham fan, you would consider this one to be a bit of a coup. 22 million RB Leipzig's paid for him last season. 22 million.
Yeah, it's big money, isn't it? It's big money, to be fair. So, no pressure on him to perform in any way then. Anyway, so move on to the next story. This is quite an interesting one as well, because I was also reading some rumours circulating today that this is a deal that's actually been stopped in its tracks, kind of thing, and that Leeds have actually pulled out of this one now. But this was Leeds were closing in on Bayern Munich's Michael Cuisance. Reports today are the fact they've actually pulled out of the deal for whatever reason. So is that a possible opening for Saints, Mark? Possibly.
I wouldn't have thought.
Look at maybe probably out of their price range, but
I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought that if it was a permanent, we still don't know whether it was a permanent or a loan deal.
Yeah.
But if it was a permanent deal, I think it's something that would have been out of our reach. Again, I think it boils down to a chairman that's prepared to try and back his manager as much as possible. I mean, given that they're the chairman, or the owner, I should say, at Leeds, he's only reported to be worth around about 700 million.
Yeah.
And we've got a we've got a chairman that's worth more than that. But yeah.
Yes, Mr. Gow, if you're listening, this is the amount that Leeds have actually spent so far this transfer window. Okay? Brace yourself. 26 million for Rodrigo, 18 million for Real Sociedad's Diogo Llorente, 13 million on Freiburg defender Robin Koch, and 16 million on ex-Wolves winger Helder Costa. That's what Leeds have actually spent so far, Saints. Mr. Gow, if you're listening, put your finger in your damn pocket.
But the thing is, historically, you're swimming against the tide a little bit, because historically they are big clubs. I'm not trying to dumb us down in any way here. I'm just
say it is, Mark.
But ultimately, it still comes back to the same thing. We're the established Premier League club. These are clubs trying to establish themselves in the Premier League.
Yep.
And this is the difference between having an owner that's interested in his football club and having an owner that couldn't give a monkeys.
Yeah, and the difference is you look at money as well, and you're quite right to allude to that, Mark, because Saints funding from owners, last 5 seasons, £1 million. Nobody in the Premier League, I don't think, has had such a low amount put in by the owners.
No.
I get the whole self-sustaining model, that's great, but you have to have a foundation to make your club self-sustaining, and I'm not sure the foundation at Saints is quite right.
Yeah, I want to move off of that.
Yep.
I mean, basically, the lad that Leeds were interested in, I mean, Bayern Munich only signed him last season from Borussia Mönchengladbach, which is where he made his name. I mean, and if they, it's unfortunate if it has collapsed, but if they were to get it over the line, he would be a hell of a signing for them, Mark. I've got to say that.
Yep. And talking to players that would be a hell of a signing, this guy's probably quite a good signing for Leicester, to be fair. So Leicester have offered £30 million for Wesley Fofana of Saint Etienne, French defender from Saint Etienne. Wesley Fofana, £30 million. Yeah,
again, I mean, on the face of it, and you can never tell with these players until they're actually playing in the Premier League. That's always the caveat. But again, he does look a good signing for Leicester, and obviously they're addressing a problem that they had from last season where they were a bit, and this obviously affected them going for the top four last season because they were on the verge of doing it. They got injuries to two of their key centre halves towards the end of last season, which stalled them a bit. So obviously bringing this lad in's addressing that. Yeah. And again, he's coming with a bit of a reputation to the Premier League, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on, Bafana.
Absolutely right. So we move on to Man City. Manchester City have signed Ruben Diaz from Benfica on a 6-year deal for about £65 million. However, it's not quite £65 million because that's actually been offset by the fact that Nicolas Otamendi's gone the other way for £13.7 million. So Otamendi's gone one way. So it's almost a part swap deal, but quite a bit of cash involved. Finally got a replacement for Vincent Kompany, Mark, possibly.
Certainly Guardiola will be hoping that this is the replacement for Vincent Kompany. I mean,
shoes to fill.
Let's be honest about it, Mark. I mean, it was definitely one of the reasons why, people say it was a two-horse race. But, I mean, City still finished a fair bit back from Liverpool. And certainly everybody connected with City will be hoping that this is the long-term replacement for Vincent Kompany. I mean, I couldn't believe that they didn't actually replace him last summer. So, they'll definitely be hoping that is the case. I mean, and plus they have strengthened because, let's not forget, although Nathan Ake isn't a direct replacement, he can't play at centre half. So, you would like to think by now that they're strong enough to make a challenge this season to Liverpool.
And to be fair, they could have one hell of a centre half pairing. They couldn't they? Ake and Diaz. That could be a real solid pairing for
yeah, I think what he's looking at is their first defensive partnership there will probably be Laporte and Diaz. I've got to say, I think Laporte and Diaz will be his main two go-to centre backs. I think there's an idea as well of playing Nathan Ake at left back because he has played left back for Bournemouth before.
Yeah, just looking at it, she's saying that it ends Guardiola's search for a right-sided defender, a right-sided central defender. Because let's not forget, he also utilised Fernandinho as a central defender last season, following Vincent Kompany's departure. So, that does shake things up a little bit. So, as you say, you might be right there. It might well be that Nathan Ake is going to end up over at left back, but they could have one out of a back four, couldn't they? To be fair,
they could do. Yeah.
Good news for Wolves fans. Good news for Wolves in general. Wolves captain Conor Cody, one of the few United Kingdom players who's actually in the Wolves team without all these Iberians, has signed a new 5-year deal.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, funnily enough, I watched him on Monday night, and he probably had his worst performance I've seen him have. When they lost to West Ham. But on a personal note for him, I mean, he was. I think I've said this to you before. He was on the ground floor, Mark. When Wolves was looking to try and get themselves up from the Championship, he joined before the revolution. So he joined before the season that they got promoted, and we started to see the influence of Jordi Mendes even then with the Portuguese influx and the Spanish influx that they had even their final year that they were in the championship. And then obviously we've seen that continually grow, in the Premier League with them. But I mean, for Conor Coder personally, I mean, he's got to be over the moon at the minute. He signed a new 5-year deal, which, again, gives him financial security. It means that he can get on with his day job of playing football.
That's right.
And to top all that off, he got a call up to the England squad, and played. So, he'd be more than happy about life at the moment, really. And the other thing to mention as well is, and people forget this, he is the club captain. So, as I say, I'm sure the Wolves fans are pleased that he's committed for another 5 years. The only thing I would say before we round this up, Mark, is there's another breaking story that this morning Sheffield United agreed a £23.5 million deal for striker Rhiannon Brewster. Brewster.
Wow.
And
he was in the Saints, wasn't he?
No, mate, he was never linked with Saints. Never linked with him. No, we couldn't afford him, mate. Where are we taking up £24 million from? I don't say the back of the sofa. Anyway, what I was going to say was again, if he decides to join them, obviously the fee's been agreed, but if he decides to join them, that's a hell of a coup for Sheffield United. I'm not saying that he'll be able to do for them what he did at Swansea, because obviously it's a lower level, right? But, he is someone who knows where the goal is. And if he gets the supply, and that's the big question, if he gets the supply, he'll score you goals. So it'd be interesting to see, but obviously Sheffield United, it was definitely their main target to address a striker. And they've got their main target, unlike us, they've got their main target. And he, the thing is if he decides to join, because obviously it's all about personal terms now, if he decides to join, I look at, I feel like we're in a situation where we're in a sweet shop, right? And everyone else is buying sweets. And we're just sat there with our noses, we're not actually in the sweet shop, we're outside with our noses pressed up against the glass.
We are.
Watching all these other clubs buy.
We are, and thank you to our friend Hassan for sending us a very funny meme last night. We are Charlie Bucket. We are the Charlie Bucket of the Premier League. Everyone else is in the shop with the candy man. We're outside looking through the window, as you said. We are the Charlie Buckets of the Premier League.
Yeah, no, 100%. But anyway,
talking of buckets and talking of players' careers, etc., etc., it's fair to say that Conor Coady and the guy that joined Sheffield United aren't suffering the same fate as the player we're about to mention, whose career is quite literally going down the pan. So, moving on to the story that a certain player at Tottenham by the name of Eric was caught in a very dire situation. Oh, it is brilliant.
I mean,
his career's literally going down the pan.
So all I'll say is I've seen footage. Okay, I've seen footage of the incident. Basically, Eric Dyer was caught short. Now, Eric Dyer has said that he told his fellow on-the-field defender, Toby Alderweireld, where he was going. But with that, he turned on his heels, ran down the tunnel, and quickly relieved himself. But the funniest thing about it was, Jose Mourinho's reaction, right? Because obviously all he's seen is Eric Dyer running down the tunnel, and he's gone running after him, and thankfully, everybody was relieved whenever they both, reappeared, and obviously Eric got back on the field to play. But it reminded me of a certain incident at St Mary's that involved our good friend Jason Punchin, and obviously, it heralded the chant of when he wants.
Yep. Absolutely. I know the one you're referring to as well. As he put it, closely followed down the tunnel by his manager. Although I'm thinking the manager and his assistant might have had the same problem at the end of the game, judged by the way they shot off down the tunnel at the end of the match. It's contagious. Oh dear. Deary me. Just shocking, absolutely shocking. Deary me. So I just a little story to just inform you on quickly. Breaking news via Southampton FC, Mark. Jonathan Afolabi and Michael Obafemi both called up for Ireland. It's good news for Saints then.
That is good news.
So that takes the total of Saints internationals up to 9 on call-ups now. There you go.
Yeah, that's good.
So there you go. So that was just breaking news just then. That just came in just as we were doing that last bit. So yeah, anyway, moving on. Lower leagues. Spain-based bidder has agreed a deal for Wigan. Bolton have brought in Ganua and Isgrove. And Macclesfield have been expelled from the National League following their High Court winding up, Mark.
Right, so basically, cover all 3 stories in one hit. Good, I mean, Wigan's something that we have followed for a number of months now, and thankfully it looks like there's light at the end of the tunnel. Gerald Ratner, who was the minister at Wigan, obviously announced that, we've got a Spanish buyer. Hopefully that goes through, and as I say, what they'll be trying to do, obviously, for this season is to stay in League One and then try and build momentum for next season for a promotion push. But it's such a great news for the community of Wigan. I know that there's a hell of a lot of people in Wigan that love, that football club. And it was like a community when Dave Whelan, was there. And that man loved that football club. But it's good news, mate. It's good news. And then on the Lloyd Isgrove, I mean, I just thought I'd bring this up because Lloyd left Saints 3 years ago. He left when he was 24. He's now 27, right? And it just goes to show to me that, we had him for all that amount of time. He never really made the grade, few friendly appearances. He appeared he actually started in the ill-fated, attempt to win the League Cup quarter-final at Sheffield United, right, which we ended up losing. That was a absolutely horror show night. But, it just goes, not everything that glitters is gold, and it just goes to show how, a player's career can kind of nosedive. I mean, I think I said before, he had a spell where he was, down the road here. That place that I don't speak its name. And, and he even struggled on loan down there. And now he's ended up at Bolton, who are in the bottom 3 of League 2 at the moment, So, I mean, I wish him all the best, but as I say, he was one of the players to me at Saints that was never going to make the grade.
No, I agree with that, and it was good that he moved on when he did. It was good for the club and good for him. So, anyway, moving on to the last story, which is the Silkmen have been expelled from the National League. It's been on the cards for a while. It's not a massive shock, and to be fair, they probably got exactly what they would have expected to get, Mark, didn't they? Yeah,
I mean, look, I always feel sorry for supporters of the clubs. I always feel sorry for supporters of the clubs.
Definitely.
But this nonsense at Macclesfield in terms of the financial situation has dragged on and on and on for years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is I think if you're a Macclesfield Town fan, and obviously they've followed it more closely than we have, you always knew that the death nail was kind of coming, because with them now being expelled, because the league starts tomorrow, And with the National League not accepting them, obviously, as members, then where do they go from here? Exactly. I mean, I've said to you that I just think it's very difficult for it to carry on in its present state. Macclesfield Town in the present state. And I would probably think that they'll either end up in the lower leagues or, under the same sort of structure as now. They'll probably end up having to sell off the ground, or failing that, group of fans come together and they end up setting up a Phoenix club or something like that.
Well, who knows? I mean, maybe they'll do a similar thing to sort of AFC Wimbledon. Maybe they'll do something similar to that.
But just on a quick note as well, Mark, something that made me chuckle that the listeners might like, right, was, as you know, there's been an agreed bailout of the smaller clubs, right? and as you know, right, as Breakfast TV, right, we're doing a piece about it, right? And where did they choose to go? Where did they choose?
In the words of the reporter, the small clubs like Portsmouth.
I absolutely loved that. I had a crease up. But
I can only imagine Portsmouth fans, when they heard that, were absolutely spitting flames and going, hang on a minute, we've got like billionaire owners.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Walt Disney was running the show down there.
Wow. No, it's more like Jim Henson, isn't it?
Anyway.
Yes.
I just thought I'd throw that one in there.
Actually, looking at the mascot that Portsmouth is selling in their club shop this season, I think Jim Henson's probably quite close to that, actually, because their mascot actually looked like it was a frog. So there we go. Anyway, that brings us to the end of that section. We're going to take a very small break. When we come back, we'll do Saints transfer news.
The Two Saints Show here on Fiesta FM. Tune in every Thursday, 12 till 2, for informative football chat and great tunes.
Right, welcome back, everybody. Saints transfer news. So these are the rumoured ins for Southampton. Southampton and West Brom to make last-ditch bids for Olivier Ntcham. Southampton keen on Joey Vernon of Herenveen. Southampton have shown interest in Manchester United midfielder Scott McTominay. Brest are planning for life after Southampton target Ibrahim Diallo is possibly on the move. Saints reportedly interested in a loan deal for Tottenham's Ryan Sessegnon. And Spurs and Southampton officially miss out on Ibrahim Sangare. So Ibrahim Sangare was rumoured to be joining Southampton or possibly Tottenham. Won't be coming to Southampton. Adam Blackmore actually alluded to the fact that Sangare was really close to joining, and at the last moment, work permit complications actually scuppered the deal, and he ended up joining PSV. So despite any reports you may have seen, it's actually more to do with the fact that the player unfortunately can't join due to the fact there were work permit issues, which is due to the fact he's Ivorian, also his age, and the fact that at the time he was classed as League 2. So that's part of the issue as well, which is a bit of a shame. So there we go. But anyway, Mark, transfer ins.
Yeah, I mean, just basically in a nutshell for me, Mark, I think I said before that I was keen to have a holding midfielder come in and a sort of box-to-box midfielder along with, an attacking wing.
Yeah.
So that would have been my three.
Yep.
I'm led now to believe that it would seem that we're only targeting two transfers. One is a central midfielder, and the other one obviously is an attacking wing. Now, having said all that, Mark, Joey Veerman, Scott McTominay's out. I don't think that Man United will let Scott McTominay go out on loan, right?
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I think he's out. I think
for fixtures reasons, because they've got Europe, they've got other things going on, okay? Yep. And I just don't think they'll do it.
Yep.
So that one's out. The Joey Veerman one, there's already been reports this morning that Joey Veerman, it would appear, has decided that he's going to stay in Holland for now, right? So that only, as far as I'm concerned, that only probably leaves us with this other lad, Diagara, not Diagara, Diallo, from Brest, right? Now I'm going to say that they're going to go for Diallo from Brest. basically on the premise that this Marco fella from Liverpool, it's probably going to cost too much money. They're Liverpool are quoting 20 million. I don't see Saints forking out 20 million. I think they'll go for this lad from Brest for 13 rising to 15 million. And I also expect them maybe to make a move for Ryan Sessegnon at Tottenham as the attacking wing player. And that's how I see our ins at the moment, unless we get linked with anybody else. But who knows? Watch this space in the next 3 days.
Yes. Well, here's some interesting breaking news coming out of Southampton Football Club, everybody. So this is hot off the press, okay? This was an hour ago. Southampton Football Club has today issued an update regarding its 2020-21 replica shirts, following the recent appointment of Sportsbet.io as new main club sponsor. The club's pleased to confirm supporters who purchased a 2020-21 shirt with Audi Sports on the front will be able to claim a complimentary updated replacement, and will also be able to keep the original shirt as a gesture of the club's gratitude for their patience. Updated home, away, third and goalkeeper shirts featuring a Sportsbet.io logo are now available for pre-order online and in-store from midday today. Priced at £45, with a promise that these new shirts will be delivered to fans in time for Christmas. Supporters will shortly be able to pre-order the shirt priced at £40, which will feature a Virgin Media logo. Our new main club sponsor has also kindly offered to cover the cost of printing a name and number on all replacement shirts for fans who previously purchased the 2020-21 replica shirt through official club channels, even if the original shirt did not have any printing. So there we go, Saints fans. You wanted some news about shirts? You finally got some. So hopefully that's a bit of a fillet for everyone.
Oh, we shouldn't have went for a refund.
I was just thinking that.
The sense of that, you get to keep the LD sports shirt. You get a new shirt as well, plus any printing that you want on the back.
My apologies for interrupting the transfer news, everyone.
No worries, that's quite relevant. So anyway, the outs, Mark, the outs.
Yes, so the Premier League outs for Southampton. So these are as follows. Southampton Star has medical cancelled, waiting for news to see move away. This is Wesley Hoot. Championship clubs are keen on getting Angus Gunn away from Southampton, and Guido Carrillo is apparently close to having his contract terminated with Southampton if Saints are unable to thrash out a transfer fee with Spanish club Elche.
But on the outs, just to say, Wesley Hoyt, hopefully this deal will be completed. He flew over on Friday, and the latest is obviously that he has had now 2 cancelled medicals.
He has.
So obviously Saints fans are going to be on tenterhooks, and it's a case of watch this space maybe up until deadline day. But hopefully we'll get him off the books. The other ones to watch out for, like you were saying, is Guido Carrillo's contract going to be cancelled? That's another one to watch out for, whether he goes to this Spanish club or not. The other thing to watch out for, obviously, is Sophie and Buffel as well. That's gone quiet, but I still believe that there's negotiations going on between Olympiacos and the player, and also the French club whose name escapes me at the moment.
Yeah, the French club is Angers.
Right. Okay. The thing is you got to keep an eye on those 3 players, plus Angus Gunn. Obviously, the Angus Gunn situation. Angus Gunn would be a loan deal, whereas the other 3 obviously would move out permanently. Angus Gunn, there's a host of championship clubs interested, although I would say that, Angus Gunn to Stoke and Jack Butland to Saints, I don't think that one's happening. I am expecting it to be a championship club. I mean, he was rumoured that Leeds were interested, but I can't see it. They have 3 established keepers there. Why would they bring in Angus Gunn? So, expect them to move maybe before deadline day to one of the top championship clubs.
Sounds good to me. Right, I think at that point we'll move on to our 2 Saints preview of Saints versus West Brom, Mark. So I reckon this is going to be 2-0 to Saints, but only if we can emulate what we did in the first half against Burnley and play like that for 90 minutes. So what's your prediction and how do you think it's going to pan out?
Right, okay, so...
And key players, obviously.
I went a bit lavish yesterday, right, and I'm reining it in today. I'm worried about the space that will be left in behind. I think Pereira, who has, last season he had the greatest number of assists in the Championship, and also Diagara. Funnily enough, it's a strange one. They're both, West Brom's best players, both of them, and they both probably are number 10s, really, because they're, they play in the pockets and stuff like that. So I'm not taking this one for granted. No Saints fan should be taking this game for granted at all.
Hey, right.
It'd be great if we get the win on the board. I mean, 6 points from the first 2 games, and I can't remember when that last happened for Saints. And it would be a degree of parity because obviously, you've effectively lost 2-1-2, which puts a better reflection on things.
Exactly.
But please, on Sunday, if you're sat there watching the game, don't take it for granted, because the worry to me is if we leave space in behind and we're trying to play a high line again, I think West Brom do have the players to expose that.
Oh, absolutely right. Diangana and Pereira will tear us a new one if we don't.
And I know you're particularly excited about this fixture because it means the return of one of your favourite players, Charlie Austin. But thankfully, West Brom have moved on. I mean, it's ironic. They signed the player, they signed Charlie Austin only last season, right? And they've already discovered that he can't, he doesn't fit into the starting 11.
Well, let's remember how good Charlie Austin. Let's remember how good Charlie Austin thinks he is. Sorry, let me get that right.
The thing is with his Saints career, Mark, it's straightforward, right? Yeah. Ralph came in and Ralph turned around and said, if you're going to be part of this team, you have to have a work ethic and you have to have the ability to run, right? Neither of which Charlie Austin has got. The thing about Charlie Austin is he's got an eye for goal. The problem was when Ralph came in and laid the law down, didn't lay the law down, but said how he wanted to play football, right? Obviously, he's looking for players to go with that. Charlie Austin's attitude was, this is the way I play football. You have to build the way you want to play round me. And that was never going to happen. And hence, there was a part of the waves between the club and Charlie Austin.
Yep. Yeah, it just... Anyway.
But as I said, about the preview, I'm just going for a 1-0 win.
Okay.
And let's hope that we can get another 3 points on the board, But there is an air of caution with me, but I think we can do it.
I'm actually going to change my prediction slightly and go actually 2-1 because I believe they probably will get one due to the fact we might leave a gap or two. I think we might get caught out with just one goal, but I think I'm confident enough that Shay Adams is due a goal as well. So I'm going for 2-1 Saints.
Good call, brother.
And at that note, I think that brings our preview very nicely to a close and also brings the podcast to a very nice close today. A bit of breaking transfer news for you. It's been confirmed that Southampton have bid £12.7 million for Ibrahim Diallo from Brest. So there we go. That's a confirmed target and it's a confirmed bid by Southampton. So we'll wait and see what happens with the players' medical, etc. So it's been an absolute pleasure for you to join us and for us to do this for you. So glad everyone's tuned in. Please continue to do so and listened in. And just to say it's goodbye from myself, Mark C.
And it's goodbye for me also. Look, people, these are hard times. Make sure that you look after one another and stay safe and well.
Absolutely right. And please join us again next week when the two Saints go marching in again. Bye for now.
Bye.